going to go over a couple of problems from your homework just to clarify and make sure that we're understanding what's being asked when it comes to dividing. According to your 5th grade standard, you will not be using the standard algorithm yet. Instead, you're going to be using different strategies to get you ready for the standard algorithm of long division. So with that, one of the strategies is using the inverse operation of multiplication. So that's what we're going to be doing today. In your homework, I gave the instruction that the first 4 problems cannot be mental math, but instead you have to actually show your work. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do problem number 1, demonstrating how you would show your work. Then I'll walk you through problem number 5 of how you can actually use mental math to be able to solve the problem. So let's go ahead and get started with number 1. On your homework, number 1 is 231 divided by 6. Now, with that said, since there's a 1 digit in my divisor, I'm going to take 1 digit at a time in my dividends, and I'm going to turn it into a multiplication question. So I'm going to ask myself a question such as 6 times what equals 2, since that's the first digit in my dividend. And in this case, whenever I have a product like that, I have to think of a factor that I can use that will either equal the product perfectly or be something less but very close. In this case, the only factor I can even use is 6 times 0, which is 0. So with that information, I would come up here to my division problem and go 6 times 0 is 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. 2 is less than 6, so I know I divided correctly. Now I'm ready to bring down the next digit. With that said, I'm now looking at my new problem of 6 times what equals 23, or something really close without going over. If you know your math facts, then you know that 6 times 3 equals 18 and 6 times 4 equals 24. 24 is very close, but it goes over, so I cannot use that. It would have to be 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 3 is 18. So with that said, I can go ahead and subtract. 3 minus 8, I cannot do that. I must regroup. 13 minus 8 is 5. 1 minus 1 is 0 or nothing. Then I always ask myself the question, is 5 less than 6? Yes, it is. So I know I divided correctly. Alright, I'm ready to bring down my next digit. And now I'm looking at 51. So once again, I'm going to use my inverse operation and think, okay, 6 times what equals 51, or something very close without going over. If you know your math facts, then you know that 6 times 8 equals 48, which is very close without going over. So now I'll be able to come up here and say 6 times 8 is 48. Once I do that, I'm ready to subtract. And now I must ask myself, is 3 less than 6? Yes, it is. So I know I divided correctly. Since there are no more digits to bring down, this 3 is now what I have left over, a remainder of 3. So as you saw that I ended up erasing each time just to make room on the screen, that is the work you would have to show, showing how you use the inverse operation of division, which is multiplication, in order to solve to get your quotient. Now, for question number 5, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to talk it out, and notice I'm not going to show the same type of work this time. So I have the problem of 915 divided by 7. And with that, I'm just going to talk it out. So I'm going to ask myself, okay, I have a 1-digit divisor, so I'm going to only look at 1 digit in my dividend at a time. 7 times what equals 9, or something very close without going over. In this case, I know that 7 times 1 is 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. Bring down my next digit. Now I must ask myself, 7 times what equals 21, or something very close. without going over. In this case, I know that 7 times 3 is 21. 0 is less than 7. So far, so good. Bring down my next digit, a 5. I must ask myself, 7 times what equals 5, or something very close without going over? You may be tempted to just say, oh, well, I'm finished, but you're not. You must always ask yourself, 7 times what equals 5, or something very close without going over. In this case, your only option is 0. Since 7 times 1 is 7, I know that 7 times 0 is 0. You're left with 5. Is 5 less than 7? Yes. Are there any more digits to bring down? No. So 5 is now your remainder.